Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Timothy from Seven Eagle Group. I'm here live with Jason from Leashes of Valor. He is the CEO and founder of Leashes of Valor. They are based out of Fredericksburg, Virginia, and they provide highly trained service dogs to post 9/11 veterans that need them. So, Jason, welcome. If you would just give us a little bit of a background on Leashes of Valor.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. This is awesome. Yeah, Leashes of Valor. We provide highly trained service dogs to wounded and disabled vets free of charge. That is our main mission. That's what we do. Um, we've been doing it since, what was it, 2017, I believe. So just a little bit over 6 years. We are an in-resident program. So what that means is when you are accepted into our program to get a dog and your dog is ready, we will bring you here to our facility, Axel's Place here in Fredericksburg, Virginia, where you'll train with the dog for anywhere between 5 to 10 days. We're trying to truncate it a little bit as much as we can because we know everybody has lives and stuff and doesn't want to see my ugly face for 10 days. So,
All right. All right. So tell us a little bit about, the type of training that these dogs go through. What kind of support do they provide veterans, and how are they trained? What's that process look like?
Absolutely, yeah. So we try to start as early as possible. We do like to rescue our dogs if we can, because unfortunately, there's about 5,000 dogs a day that are euthanized in this country every day.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get them as young as 12 weeks, as old as about a year, and then they'll stay with us for about 18 months. The real thing for us, it's pretty easy to train a dog. Not that I'm a dog trainer, but I've been told. What's the hard part is getting them to do that task anywhere. So the big part of our training modality is socialization, and that's getting them out into the public, at all the stores, the restaurants, and getting them to be able to do that training anywhere.
Yeah.
We do tend to shy away from different types of breeds and things like that. We really look into, golden retrievers, the Labradors, that type. And that's really, it's not anything against those breeds. It's unfortunately the VA is not really great and receptive to dogs with pointy ears, to be quite honest with you. So we don't want to set up our clientele for failure. We want to set them up for success. So if we have to shy away from some other breeds, and that's what we'll do.
Yeah. Is that because of like restrictions on entering buildings or living in certain areas or something like that? Or
yeah, unfortunately, I'll give the prime example is pit bulls. They've gotten a horrible reputation in regards to what they do, what they're capable of. They're incredibly smart and intelligent dogs. Unfortunately, the stigma is very bad, so that there's rules that are written down at apartment complexes, HOAs, that type of thing, that specifically ban that breed. The VA has kind of followed suit with that. So just making it so they're not getting confronted as soon as they walk through the door is really, a good point, because we're dealing with PTSD, traumatic brain injury.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing you don't want to do is set them up to be triggered in the very beginning. So
give it maybe you can answer this question with a story. If not, just paint a picture of like a veteran who needs a service dog. How do they find you, and then what type of things, life events, does this dog support a veteran in?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the easiest way to find us is on, Google. Search service dogs. We should be one of the first ones that are starting to pop up. Our mission, just find us, Leashes of Valor, social media. I mean, that's the big thing, right here doing this. Our focus is trying to get that mission out so people can find us. And then really all you have to do is reach out to us via email, text, phone, whatever. It doesn't matter. Well, once you start that process, we will do our best to help you through it. Because if you're at that point where you're asking for a dog, we understand that, you might need a little nudging here and there. So, but it's an application process. It's about 15 pages, pretty easy. And the way we like to describe it, it's kind of like Match.com. Is I have to know your personality, what your limitations, your restrictions, what you like to do, what you don't like to do. Because I don't want to give you a dog that just wants to lay around if you're somebody that likes to go hiking around in the woods, or the
Yeah.
vice versa. So, um, life events that these guys can help with, and what they do. Just for me specifically, having a service dog help me with my sleep, nightmares, panic attacks, flashbacks. We can teach them to do mobility, retrieve things, that type of stuff, but
Yeah.
mostly it's to combat that PTSD, and ensure that it brings you out of a situation where you're already going, nosediving.
Yeah. Okay.
So specifically, a great example would be going to a baseball game or a football game, or your kids recital.
Yeah.
Being able to limit those panic attacks, and or be able to combat them if they happen during that time frame.
Yeah. So maybe you mentioned your own story. Would you be okay with just kind of sharing how you ventured into having a service dog and like the type of relationship you have with your service dog? What's their name and what are they like? What do you do with your service dog?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So for me, I spent 13 years in the Marine Corps,
Mhm.
7 as enlisted, 6 as an officer. Unfortunately, I did 3 combat tours, and I zigged when I was definitely supposed to zag. So I got shot in '03. I got blown up in '08 or
Yeah.
9. I can't remember now. And my last deployment was to Afghanistan. It was not good. Um, After it was over, ended up being medically retired out for all of the injuries that I incurred,
Yeah.
PTSD, traumatic brain injury, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Had a very difficult time transitioning out. Um, what I really associate that to is I didn't have a purpose, anymore at all.
Yeah.
I tried every different modality that you can think of to try to get help, group therapy, talk therapy, all that kind of stuff, and it didn't do anything. It was made it worse, to be honest with you. And then I found service dogs, and my service dog Axel saved my life. There's no doubt about it, hands down. That dog did more for me than any med, pill, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, when he was working, when he had his vest on, like, there was nothing that could really shake what he was doing, which was awesome. When his vest was off, it's like he didn't have a brain. He was kind of dumb.
Yeah.
But I think he was just kind of relaxing. So, um, what he did for me, and how he was able to reach and touch so many different people. He not only, he didn't just save me, he saved my family, my kids, my um, kids' mother. So being able to replicate that type of bond and that type of thing is something that Leashes of Valor really wants to do, and is going
Yeah.
to continue to do for as long as possible.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, that's the true value in it is like not only your life is impacted, but everybody that knows you and is in contact with you now is impacted by it. And of course, you mentioned earlier the dog themselves is,
Yep.
um, impacted by the relationship that's formed. You mentioned having the vest on and off. So are they trained to like? I'm putting my camis on for the day, right?
Basically, yeah. And
Yeah,
it's the real great way to get them in the mindset that they know that they're going to be working.
yeah,
And it also gives them a kind of that off switch, is really what we're looking for, is being able to turn that off switch off. And um, it gives them that ability that, hey, now you're working, now you're not. You can act like a ding dong, act like because
yeah,
they are dogs, they are still
yeah. Of
animals.
course, yeah,
So, being able to allow them that opportunity to have the freedom of, hey, I'm okay, like my person's all right, I can go in the backyard, run around, act like a fool, we're good to go.
yeah.
But they know once that vest comes back on, it's time to go.
Awesome. Okay. So for everybody's information, we're going to be partnering with Leashes of Valor on November 9th this year for our Heroes Toast event, where we're bringing together all supporters of the military community, current, former veterans, service members, their family members, um, and then any companies that support the veteran community. We're outreaching to as many people as possible. And during this event, we're going to be raising $30,000 to go to Leashes of Valor to train a highly trained service dog for a veteran in need. So Jason, tell us where that $30,000, right?
Yep.
What does that, how is that used over? You mentioned during one of our conversations, a 2-year training period,
Yep.
and so during that time, how are you, you kind of mentioned the matching process, but how is that $30,000 going to be used over the 2 years?
Yeah. So for Leashes of Valor, just so everybody knows, and this is one of the big things about Leashes
Yeah.
of Valor is we try to be as transparent as possible.
Yeah.
So for 1 year of training, Leashes of Valor spends $14,700 per dog. That's what we actually spend on each animal that we receive if they go all the way through training. So for 2 years of them being here, that's like 29,000 and some change or something.
Yeah.
My math is awful.
Yeah.
But if we actually ended up having to spend $1 for every amount of training that we gave our dogs, it would be almost $40,000 a year. Because of the awesome things that our trainers do. We have 2 that are full time on staff here. But they actually, not only do they train the dogs, they train our foster system to help us train those dogs and get them into all of those different places. Because as much as our trainers are fantastic, as much as I go places, I can't duplicate 30 different people's experiences every day. So
Okay.
that is something that is fantastic for us within our foster
Yeah.
system. So what happens? We'll take in a dog. Say the dog is 14 weeks old. That dog will come and be evaluated by our 2 trainers. They'll check it out, make sure everything's good to go. And then it'll be placed with one of our puppy raisers. And that puppy raiser will have it until it's probably 6 months old, maybe a little bit less, depending on how fast it grows and that type of thing.
Okay.
But they will check in and be a part of us, a part of our training every week. That dog until it is, I think it's 3 months, 90 days
Yeah.
old, cannot actually go out into public because it doesn't have all its vaccines and things like that. So it'll come here to our facility, train with our trainers. As it gets its vaccines, they start to train more out in town. They meet, I think it's 3 times a week now, out at Lowe's, Home Depot, Bass Pro, that type of thing, and getting that type of exposure and all that. So those are the things, specifically paying the trainers, specifically their food, their vaccines, that type of thing. But if you break it out and you specifically think about it, having to pay someone to board and train your dog is about $75 a day.
Yeah.
That's where that price tag just goes straight through the roof.
Yeah. And you said before that you're really focusing on keeping the quality high.
Yeah, that's what we really want to do. We've seen what can happen if you give an untrained dog to someone that is a newbie to actually handling a dog and being a part of that. And that's not what we're about. We want that dog to be completely trained when they take hand, put leash in hand, so that the way there aren't any problems, they're not dealing with any issues, and they're able to utilize the tool that we have given them from day one.
Yeah. And then, so do you guys ever, or how often do you track and check in with a dog?
So for the
after placement. Yeah.
Yep. So for the first 3 years, we keep track of them quite heavily. For the first year, it's even worse. We usually make them give us a weight check-in every 30 days. If it's not every 90 days. It starts out at 90. If a problem arises in regards to weight fluctuates too high, too low, we'll put them on every 30 days. And then they recertify every year on the anniversary that they got their dog, to show that it's the same test that they passed when they left here. The Good Citizen Canine test with a lot of our stuff added to it.
Yeah.
And they'll do that for 3 years. And then they're off the hook in regards to checking in and making sure they're still utilizing their dog after that first 3 years. But we're here for the life of the dog. And if they ever need another one, they will go to the top of the list and be provided one.
Okay. So you're not exactly limited, if you're a veteran to one dog.
No. Yeah. So in all honesty, right now, I am the only veteran that we have had that has had to utilize a quote unquote the bereavement program, whereas I have had a service dog through its service life. It has passed away, and now I need another one.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what we do and will provide to any of our veterans that have received a dog from us.
That's great. One thing that you mentioned during one of our initial conversations is that, as long as we meet our goal, that we potentially have the opportunity to name our service dog.
Yes, you do.
That
Yes,
we,
you do.
that, you
Yep.
know, and so how do you normally go through the process of naming? Is it, are you checking a baby name book, right?
No.
Or are you just Googling like Nordic warriors?
So, for instance, our last group of puppies was named after, because they were almost all girls. We named them after female veterans in combat.
Oh, that's great.
Um, and we usually try to give them some type of theme. I believe one one group of puppies was like after guns, like missiles and things. Another
Yeah.
one was after ships. We did one where it was after Medal of Honor recipients. So, and mostly when companies, organizations, or just specifically people, they usually name it after a loved one, someone that was fallen, overseas, stuff like that. I've had ones name them after their dog or their parents, things like that. So we do reserve the right to refuse any name.
Yeah.
We will not name a dog like Fluffy or Princess or My Little Pony.
Yeah.
So have to remember that these guys and girls are from the military, so we're not
Yeah.
going to do that to them.
Yeah. And they're like highly trained, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, you don't want to be calling it Princess, when it's
Yeah. Yeah. It's like
retrieving
a
your
certain
wallet.
level of respect for
Yeah,
what these dogs have accomplished. Yeah.
yep,
That's
um,
awesome.
yep. I did, we the 2 litters ago, I believe we named 2 of them after the 13 Marines that were killed. Last 13 Marines that were
Yeah.
killed in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay. So, I mean, I think that's really, really it. We covered a little bit about how veterans can find you. And maybe you can cover that in just a second, just kind of close us out with how people find you, and how they can find out if they're eligible for a service dog, and, kind
absolutely,
of how that process works one more time. But we covered a little bit of that. We covered your history, and thank you so much for sharing everything. I'll close out on our end by inviting everyone to go to 7eagle.com/toast, TOAST, to sign up for our networking event. It's going to happen November 9th, 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m., just a virtual 90-minute call, where we're going to offer, toasts to our current veterans, former veterans, current service members, families, everyone that is in the military community, coming together around our veteran community, and then raising money to donate one of these awesome, highly trained service dogs from Leashes of Valor to a veteran in need. So, Jason, please, thank you so much for your time today, and close us out with just letting people know how they can find you and how they can find out if they're eligible for a service dog.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the best way to find us is just Googling our name, Leashes of Valor. It's leashesofvalor.org. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of them. Leashesofvalor.org is the best way to find us. As far as eligibility for a service dog, post 9/11, have honorably served, and have a diagnosis of PTSD, traumatic brain injury, and or have been wounded in combat. So, unfortunately, we are not able to provide prior to 9/11 just yet. Hopefully, one of these days we'll be able to.
Yeah.
And we do have, like we have talked about a couple of our previous conversations, we're trying to expand into the outdoors. So, if you're a veteran that likes to be outdoors, likes to play golf, stuff like that, still check us out.
Yeah. And actually, I know we're closing out, but if you have any upcoming events, do you have any upcoming events that people in the Fredericksburg, DC metro area can find out?
Yeah, absolutely. So this Saturday, the 24th, up in Chantilly at Honor Brewing, we have an awesome event starting at 1600 and going to, I think, I'm almost 8. There's going to be all kinds of different beers from Honor Brewing. We have one that's actually named after us, Monsoon. So all the proceeds from that beer being sold goes to us. There's a cornhole tournament, face painting, all kinds of crazy stuff. So if
Yeah.
you're in the area and around Chantilly and DC, please come check us out, man.
Yeah. And where can they sign up for that?
Oh, that the sign up for that I believe is on our Facebook page.
Okay.
So go to Leashes of Valor on Facebook and check the events page. And I believe actually it may even be on our website on the events page there too. So
Yeah.
check those fights out and find us.
Yeah.
Please come on out.
All right. Yeah. So one last time, follow Seven Eagle, follow Leashes of Valor on social media, and sign up for the Heroes Toast at seveneagles.com/toast, and or offer a donation online on the same website for Leashes of Valor, so we can donate one of these highly trained service dogs to a veteran in need. Jason,
Awesome.
once again, thanks so much for your time, and I know that we'll have plenty of conversations until our event in November. Thank you so much.
Looking forward to it, man.